Have you ever noticed how some people will smile in your face, but secretly test how far they can push you? Maybe they talk over you, dismiss your ideas, or treat your presence like it doesn't matter. And the truth is, if you don't address it, they'll keep doing it. Not because you deserve it, but because disrespect always grows in the silence of those who accept it. Think about this. Every time you let someone cross a line without saying a word, you're teaching them that it's okay. You're training them to keep taking, to keep pushing, to keep devaluing what you bring. And if you're not careful, it starts to eat away at you. It makes you question your worth, your place, and your power. But let me ask you, what if the real problem isn't the people who disrespect you? What if the problem is how you've been handling it? What if you had the tools to stop it in its tracks, to command respect without yelling, without begging, without lowering yourself? Because here's the reality. You don't have to fight everyone who disrespects you, but you also don't have to sit there and take it. There's a middle ground, a powerful space where you stand tall, protect your peace, and make it clear that your value is not negotiable. And today I'm going to show you how respect doesn't start with other people. Respect begins with you. The way you see yourself, the way you carry yourself, the boundaries you put in place. Those are the rules of the game. People watch, they test, and then they decide how far they can go. And here's the tough truth. If you don't set the standard, someone else will set it for you, and it usually won't be in your favor. Think about it. The people around you, your coworkers, your friends, your family, they're constantly reading your behavior. If you let someone interrupt you every time you speak and you just laugh it off, what do you think they've learned? They've learned that your words don't matter. If you allow someone to cancel on you again and again, and you still run back to them the moment they call, what does that teach them? It teaches them that your time has no value. People are constantly taking cues from you, and whether you realize it or not, you are teaching them how to treat you. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable. Sometimes it's not even about what people do to us, it's about what we allow. Too many people spend their lives hoping that others will just magically respect them. They hope people will appreciate their kindness, their patience, their loyalty, but hoping doesn't work. Respect isn't handed out like candy, it's earned, commanded, and reinforced by your standards. If you don't enforce your boundaries, you'll keep attracting people who cross them. I want you to picture this. Imagine you're in your house. You've got doors, locks, and keys. You wouldn't let just anyone walk in, open your fridge, and take whatever they want, right? Why? Because you've created a system of protection. You decide who enters, how long they stay, and how they behave while they're inside. That's what boundaries are. Your life is your house. And every time you let someone cross your line without correction, you're basically leaving the door wide open and inviting chaos inside. Well, here's the powerful shift. When you set the standard, people adjust. Human behavior is predictable. When someone realizes that you won't tolerate being spoken to in a certain way, they stop. When they see that you value your time and you won't allow them to waste it, they either rise to meet your level or they fade away. Either way, you win. Now let's be real. Setting the standard doesn't mean you walk around yelling, demanding respect, or acting arrogant. That's not strength. That's insecurity wearing a mask. True strength is quiet, consistent, and firm. It's in the small actions. It's in the way you say no without apology. It's in the way you carry yourself, like your presence has weight. It's in the way you don't explain yourself to people who don't deserve an explanation. And here's something most people never tell you. The first person who has to respect you is you. You cannot expect others to treat you with value if you secretly see yourself as less. If you keep putting yourself last, if you keep tolerating behavior that drains you, if you keep shrinking so others can feel comfortable, you are telling the world, I don't matter. And guess what? They'll believe you. I've met people who say, but if I set boundaries, I'll lose friends. If I stand up for myself, people won't like me. And you know what I tell them? Good. Because anyone who leaves when you start valuing yourself was never there for you in the first place. Why would you fight to keep people in your life who only stay when you let them disrespect you? That's not connection, that's manipulation. Real respect doesn't disappear when you enforce your worth. Setting the standard isn't just about pushing others away. It's also about attracting the right people. When you carry yourself with confidence, when you respect your own time, when you speak with clarity and calm, people notice the right kind of people gravitate toward you because they recognize strength. They see someone who knows their value and they respect it because it reminds them of their own. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, this all sounds great, but it's hard. And you're right. It is hard at first. The first time you tell someone no, your heart might race. The first time you refuse to let someone dismiss your opinion, your voice might shake. The first time you walk away from a toxic person, you might question yourself. But every single time you stand firm, you get stronger. Every single time you enforce your standard, you remind yourself that you are worthy of respect. And over time, it becomes second nature. You need to remember this. People don't respect you because you beg for it. They respect you because you embody it. You don't have to scream to be heard. You don't have to fight everyone who crosses the line. Sometimes all you need is one steady look, one calm word, one unshakable decision. That's the kind of energy that makes people pause. That's the kind of energy that shifts the way others see you. So ask yourself right now, what have you been allowing? Where have you been teaching people that it's okay to treat you less than you deserve? And what standard do you need to set today that will change the game? Because the moment you decide, the moment you raise that bar, your life will change. Some people will rise to meet it and some will fall away. Both outcomes are a win because either way you've made space for respect and you've set the tone for the rest of your life. This isn't about controlling others. It's about controlling you. You are the gatekeeper of your own worth. And once you take that role seriously, you'll notice something powerful. The people who truly belong in your life will respect your standard, and the ones who don't will remove themselves. That's not loss, that's liberation. Silence is one of the most underestimated forms of power. Most people think power comes from speaking louder, reacting faster, or proving themselves in every argument. But the truth is, real power is often found in the ability to say nothing at all. When someone disrespects you, their goal is usually to trigger you. They want to see you flinch. They want you to lose control. They want you to give them free access to your emotions. And when you take the bait, they win. But when you master the art of silence, when you learn to pause and hold your ground without reacting, you flip the script. You take away their control. Think about the last time someone said something insulting or dismissive to you. Maybe they called you out in public. Maybe they rolled their eyes at your ideas, or maybe they whispered something under their breath. What was your first instinct? For most people, it's to fire back immediately, to defend themselves, to prove they're not weak. But here's the problem. When you rush to react, you hand over your power. You're no longer in control of the situation. Your emotions are, and the person who disrespected you now knows exactly how to push your buttons. Silence changes that dynamic completely. When you don't react, when you take that pause, you create discomfort. People expect conflict. They expect a reaction, but when they're met with calmness instead of chaos, it throws them off. Suddenly, they don't know what you're thinking. They don't know how much power they have, and they don't know if you're even bothered. That mystery alone unsettles them more than any comeback ever could. But silence isn't just about keeping your mouth shut. It's about keeping your composure. You can be silent on the outside, but still raging on the inside, and people will feel that energy. Mystery comes when you can keep your inner world calm. When someone tries to provoke you, and you don't give them the satisfaction of seeing you lose your peace, that's strength. That's self-control. That's the kind of presence that demands respect without saying a word. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone tries to belittle you in a meeting. Instead of snapping back or defending every point, you stay quiet, you let the silence stretch, and then you respond only when you're ready. With clarity and calm, that pause forces everyone in the room to lean in. It shifts the attention back to you, because silence creates weight. And when you finally speak, your words land with more authority, because they weren't rushed, they weren't defensive, they were deliberate. Now, don't misunderstand this. Silence doesn't mean you let people walk all over you. It doesn't mean you accept disrespect or ignore it forever. Silence is a strategy, not a surrender. It's the choice to respond instead of react. It's the difference between throwing a wild punch and delivering a precise strike. When you react, you lose precision. When you respond, you control the timing, the tone, and the outcome. The problem with reacting immediately is that it often escalates the situation. Disrespect thrives on drama. Someone insults you and you explode back. You've given them a show, and chances are you'll regret what you said later. But when you pause, when you hold that silence, you give yourself space to decide, is this even worth my energy? Do I need to address it now, or would my silence say more than any words could? Here's the beauty of silence. It exposes people. When someone tries to get under your skin and you don't respond, they keep pushing, and the more they push, the more everyone around them sees who they really are. They reveal their insecurity, their desperation, their lack of control. Meanwhile, you look composed, steady, and strong. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is let someone else drown in their own noise while you stand still in peace. Of course, mastering silence takes practice. It's not natural. Our egos want to fight, defend, and prove. But here's what you need to remember. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The moment you feel that fire in your chest, that urge to clap back, that's your cue to pause, to breathe, to let the silence speak first. That's when you shift from being controlled to being in control. This doesn't just apply to big confrontations. It applies to everyday life. The text message that annoyed you, the comment on social media, the passive-aggressive remark from a coworker. Not everything deserves your energy. Silence allows you to choose your battles. It reminds you that not every fight is worth entering. Some people only want a reaction because your reaction feeds them. When you give them nothing, you starve them of the power they seek. And here's something powerful. Silence also teaches others how to communicate with you. When people realize that they can't get a rise out of you, when they see that you don't respond to petty behavior, they adjust. They either step up their level of respect or they remove themselves because they know they can't control you. Either way, you win. But silence is not weakness. It's strategy. Think of the strongest leaders, the most respected people you know. They don't waste words. They don't rush to defend themselves against every critic. They choose their words carefully, and often their silence says more than their speeches. Why? Because silence communicates confidence. It says, I don't need to prove myself to you. And that is one of the most powerful messages you can send without opening your mouth. So the next time someone disrespects you, before you react, ask yourself, do they even deserve my energy? Will my silence say more than my words? Will my calmness make them question their own behavior? And if the answer is yes, then hold that silence like it's a weapon. Because in many cases, silence is not emptiness, it's strength. It's you standing firm, refusing to be dragged into a battle that only weakens you. Mastering the power of silence is about reclaiming control over yourself. It's about refusing to let anyone pull you out of character. It's about reminding yourself that your peace is priceless, and not everyone deserves access to it. And when you learn that, when you truly practice that, you stop reacting to disrespect, and you start commanding respect without ever raising your voice. Not everyone deserves a seat at your table. Not everyone deserves front row access to your life. And one of the most powerful things you can ever learn is this. You don't have to fight every person who disrespects you, and you don't have to explain why you're stepping away. You simply create distance, quietly, calmly, without drama. Protecting your space is not about being cold or cruel. It's about valuing your peace so much that you stop renting out your energy to people who can't afford it. Here's the truth. The people you surround yourself with shape the way you think, the way you feel, and even the way you see yourself. If you are constantly surrounded by people who disrespect you, belittle you, or drain you, you will start to absorb that energy. You'll start to question your worth. You'll start to shrink so they feel bigger. That's why protecting your space isn't selfish. It's survival. It's about choosing to guard your mind, your heart, and your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. But here's where many people struggle. They think distancing themselves requires a big confrontation, a dramatic exit, or some kind of declaration. They imagine storming out, slamming doors, announcing to the world that they're cutting people off. But real power doesn't need theatrics. Real power is when you quietly step back, when you stop feeding the connection, when you stop showing up for people who never show up for you. You don't owe anyone a dramatic explanation for choosing peace. Your silence, your absence, and your boundaries will speak for themselves. Think of it like this. If someone consistently disrespects you, they've already made their choice. They've shown you what they think of you. Why argue about it? Why try to convince them of your worth? Every time you explain yourself to someone who doesn't value you, you lower your own standard. Instead, let your distance do the talking. Remove your presence, remove your energy, remove your availability. That absence is louder than any speech you could ever give. And here's the part most people miss. Distance is not about punishing them. It's about protecting you. It's not revenge. It's preservation. You're not stepping back to hurt them. You're stepping back to heal yourself. Because every time you stay in spaces where you're not respected, you're teaching yourself that disrespect is acceptable. And the longer you stay, the more damage it does to your self-esteem. Protecting your space means protecting your identity, your confidence, and your sanity. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, well, what if it's family? What if it's people I love? That's when it gets hard. Sometimes the people who disrespect you the most are the people closest to you. But here's the reality. You can love someone and still not allow them constant access to you. You can care about them deeply and still decide that your peace comes first. Distance doesn't mean cutting someone out forever. Sometimes it just means creating enough space so that their negativity doesn't seep into your everyday life. You get to decide how much access people have to you, even if they share your last name. Let's be clear, protecting your space doesn't mean avoiding all conflict. It doesn't mean you never speak up. Sometimes, yes, you'll have to confront someone. But most of the time, the most powerful move you can make is simply to withdraw your energy. Stop explaining. Stop arguing. Stop giving them the satisfaction of a reaction. Instead, redirect your focus toward people and places that uplift you. When you do that, you'll notice something powerful. The people who truly value you will respect your boundaries, and the ones who don't will fade away on their own. Distance also creates clarity. When you step back from people who drain you, you begin to see the relationship for what it really is. Sometimes when you're too close, you can't see clearly. You're blinded by loyalty, habit, or hope. But when you give yourself space, you gain perspective. You start to recognize patterns. You start to realize how much lighter you feel without their constant negativity. That's when you understand protecting your space isn't just about keeping bad people out. It's about allowing good things in. And let's not ignore this truth. The people who get angry when you set boundaries are the ones who benefited from you having none. When you pull back, when you stop making yourself so available, when you stop tolerating their disrespect, they may accuse you of being selfish, cold, or distant. But don't fall for it. That's manipulation. They're not upset because you did something wrong. They're upset because you stopped allowing them to do something wrong to you. Let their frustration confirm what you already knew. Distance was the right choice. But here's the beauty of distance. You don't have to make a big announcement. You don't have to tell someone, I'm done with you, or I'm cutting you off. Just stop watering what doesn't grow. Stop pouring into what doesn't pour back into you. Slowly, steadily, without noise. And you'll find that your peace increases, your energy grows, and your confidence returns. You'll have more room in your life for people who actually respect you, for opportunities that build you, for experiences that nourish you. Remember this, your space is sacred. Not everyone deserves access to it. Protecting it isn't about building walls, it's about building gates. Walls shut everyone out, but gates let you choose who comes in. And when you take control of that gate, when you stop allowing disrespect to live rent-free in your life, you'll finally understand how powerful you are. So ask yourself, who in your life drains you? Who disrespects your time, your energy, your boundaries? And why are they still sitting at your table? You don't need to scream. You don't need to fight. You don't need to explain. Just push back your chair, stand up, and walk away. Quietly, calmly, with strength. Because at the end of the day, your peace is not up for negotiation. And the moment you start protecting it without drama, you reclaim the life you were always meant to live. There comes a point when silence and distance are not enough. There are moments in life when you must open your mouth, stand tall, and confront the situation directly. Not with rage, not with chaos, not with desperate energy, but with calm confidence. Speaking up when it matters isn't about proving you're right. It's about showing that your dignity is not up for compromise. Too often, people stay quiet because they're afraid of conflict, or they don't want to be labeled difficult. But here's the truth. When you never confront disrespect, you train people to believe they can keep disrespecting you without consequence. Confrontation doesn't have to mean screaming matches or explosive arguments. In fact, real confrontation is the opposite. It's controlled, it's measured, it's powerful precisely because it's intentional. When you speak up with clarity and confidence, you disarm the other person. You're not begging them to treat you better. You're not shouting over them to be heard. You're simply stating the truth about what you will and will not allow. That truth carries more weight than 1,000 emotional outbursts. Imagine someone consistently interrupts you when you speak. You've stayed silent before, you've tried to ignore it, but it keeps happening. A confident confrontation sounds like this. I'm speaking right now. Please wait until I finish. Simple, clear, no apology, no explanation, just a boundary stated out loud. Notice what you didn't do. You didn't scream, you didn't insult, you didn't beg them to value you. You told them exactly where the line is. That's confrontation done with confidence. The reason most people avoid confrontation is fear. Fear of losing relationships, fear of making people angry, fear of being judged. But think about it, if someone leaves your life because you asked for respect, did you really lose anything? If someone gets angry because you stood up for yourself, what does that say about their character? The truth is, you don't lose people when you confront disrespect. You lose the illusion of respect that was never there in the first place.
Here's the key.
Your tone and your presence matter as much as your words. If you confront someone while shaking with anger, you give them ammunition to dismiss you. They'll call you emotional, dramatic, or unstable. But when you confront someone with composure, when your voice is steady and your eyes are clear, they can't ignore it. They feel the weight of your words because you're not just reacting, you're commanding the room. And don't confuse confrontation with aggression. Aggression seeks to overpower. Confrontation seeks to correct. Aggression says, I'll dominate you. Confrontation says, I value myself too much to stay silent. One comes from insecurity, the other from self-respect. People can feel the difference instantly. That's why confrontation, when done right, actually earns you more respect. Even people who don't like you will respect your ability to stand firm without losing control. But confrontation doesn't only happen with others. It also happens within yourself. Sometimes the hardest person to confront is you. You have to confront the part of you that stays silent. When you should speak up, you have to confront the fear that makes you shrink instead of stand tall. You have to confront the voice in your head that says, don't make trouble. Don't upset anyone. That voice is not protecting you. That voice is holding you back. And until you confront it, you'll keep letting disrespect slide. One of the most powerful things you can practice is role-playing confrontation in your mind. Ask yourself, if someone crosses my boundary today, how will I respond? What words will I use? What tone will I take? When you rehearse confidence, it becomes natural. Then when the moment comes, you're not scrambling for words or letting fear paralyze you. You already know how to stand tall, look someone in the eye, and say what needs to be said. Let's not pretend it's easy. Speaking up takes courage. The first time you confront someone who's used to walking all over you, they might push back, they might test you, they might even laugh it off. But don't let that shake you. Confidence isn't about how they react. It's about how you hold your ground. Over time, people learn. They realize you're not the same person they could silence before. And the ones who can't handle that will either step up or step out. Either way, you win. Confrontation also teaches you something powerful about yourself. You realize your voice matters. The first time you speak up, you may feel nervous, but afterward you feel stronger. The weight lifts. You realize you're not as powerless as you once believed. Every time you use your voice, you reinforce your own worth. And that inner shift changes the way you carry yourself in every area of life. Here's something you need to remember. Silence and distance are strategies, but confrontation is sometimes the necessary final step. It's the moment when you make it clear, not just to others, but to yourself, that disrespect has no place in your life. It's the moment you affirm your own value with your words. And once you do that, you'll never go back to being silent when it matters most. So the next time someone crosses the line, don't let fear hold you back. Take a breath, stand tall, keep your voice steady, and say what needs to be said. Not with anger, not with desperation, but with calm authority. Because when you confront with confidence, you don't just stop disrespect, you build respect. You send a message that echoes far beyond that moment. I know my worth. I will protect my worth, and I will never apologize for it. One of the greatest lessons you can ever learn in life is this. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every insult needs a reply. Not every act of disrespect requires your presence. Because the truth is, some people operate on such a small level that giving them your attention is like feeding fuel to a dying fire. It keeps them alive longer than they deserve. The most powerful move you can make is to take all that energy you would have wasted on proving yourself to people who don't matter and invest it into your own growth. When you're focused on your purpose, when you're chasing your goals, when you're building yourself, you don't have time to get stuck in petty drama. People will talk. People will doubt. People will disrespect. But ask yourself this. Are their opinions paying your bills? Are their words building your future? Are their doubts shaping your destiny? No. So why spend your valuable energy fighting them? The higher you rise, the less you'll even hear the noise. Here's what happens when you waste energy on small minds. You stay stuck in their world. You spend hours replaying their words, crafting comebacks, proving points, defending yourself, and all the while, your energy is being drained from what truly matters, your progress. Small minds thrive on dragging others down, because that's the only way they can feel tall. The moment you rise above, the moment you stop feeding their negativity, they lose their grip. That's why growth is the ultimate revenge. Not shouting, not fighting, growth. Think about it like climbing a mountain. When you're at the bottom, you hear everyone around you, the noise is loud, the chatter constant, but the higher you climb, the quieter it gets. You don't hear the critics anymore. You don't see the distractions. All you feel is the strength in your body, the clarity in your mind, and the view getting better with every step. That's what focusing on growth does. It lifts you to a place where the voices of disrespect can't reach you. And let's be honest, when you're busy growing, you don't even have the desire to entertain drama. When you're working on your health, building your career, improving your skills, nurturing your relationships, you're too occupied to care about someone's petty opinion. You don't have time to argue with people who aren't even on your level. Your silence becomes your statement and your progress becomes your proof. That's how you win without lifting a finger. But here's the shift you have to make. You need to stop expecting respect from small minds. Some people simply don't have the capacity to value you. Not because you're not worthy, but because their vision is too limited. You could hand them gold and they'd still see dirt. You could show them brilliance and they'd still call it nothing. Why? Because they're trapped in their own limitations. And you cannot waste your life trying to make someone see your worth when they're committed to being blind. Instead, let your results speak. Build so much that people can't ignore you even if they want to. Work so hard on yourself that your growth drowns out the noise of their disrespect. Because here's the truth, when you level up, the people who used to mock you suddenly grow quiet. When you achieve what they thought was impossible, their words lose power. Success silences critics better than any comeback ever could. And don't think growth is only about money or achievements. Growth is also about your mindset, your emotional strength, your peace. Sometimes the biggest flex is not the car you drive or the house you own, but the fact that you are unbothered, that you don't get pulled into petty conflicts, that you don't let disrespect throw you off balance. Inner growth makes you untouchable. People can say what they want, but it bounces off you because you know who you are and where you're going. Now let me be real with you. Focusing on growth is not easy. It means sacrificing temporary satisfaction for long-term rewards. It means ignoring negativity when every part of you wants to clap back. It means staying disciplined when distractions are everywhere. But every time you choose growth over drama, you're building a stronger version of yourself. Every time you walk away from small minds, you're stepping closer to greatness. Ask yourself, how much energy have you wasted trying to change people's opinions? How many hours have you lost replaying disrespect in your mind? What could you have built with all that energy? What skills could you have mastered? What goals could you have reached? The reality is you already have enough time and energy to build the life you want. You're just spending too much of it on things that don't matter. So here's the challenge. The next time someone disrespects you, instead of reacting, redirect, take that energy and pour it into your growth. Go to the gym, read that book, start that project, build your dream. Do something that makes you stronger, wiser, or closer to your goal, because every ounce of energy you invest in growth compounds, and every ounce of energy you waste on small minds vanishes into nothing. At the end of the day, the best answer to disrespect is elevation. When you rise, you prove them wrong without ever speaking their name. When you focus on growth, you step out of their reach. And when you live in your purpose, the noise fades into the background. Don't waste your life proving your worth to people who can't see it. Prove it to yourself by becoming everything you were meant to be. Because the truth is, small minds will always talk. They will always disrespect. They will always try to pull you down. But great minds don't argue with small ones. They rise, they grow, and they leave the noise behind. Your growth is not just your power, it's your shield. And once you learn to focus on it, no disrespect will ever hold you back again. At some point in life, every single one of us will face people who don't respect us. They will test us, dismiss us, and try to make us feel small. But the way you handle it, that's what defines you. You don't have to beg for respect. You don't have to fight every battle. You don't have to waste your life proving yourself to people who don't even value themselves. You set the standard by teaching others how to treat you. You master silence, so your calm becomes louder than any insult. You create distance without drama to protect your peace. You confront with confidence when the moment requires your voice. And above all, you focus on your growth because nothing silences disrespect more than your success, your peace, and your strength. Respect is not something you chase. It's something you command by the way you live, the way you carry yourself, and the way you protect your space. Some people will rise to meet your standard. Others will fall away. Either way, you win. Because in the end, it's not about them, it's about you. It's about the life you choose to build, the boundaries you choose to hold, and the growth you refuse to sacrifice. So remember this, you don't owe anyone access to your peace. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your standards. And you don't owe anyone your energy if they can't respect it. The greatest power you'll ever have is not in how you react to disrespect. It's in how you rise above it and keep moving forward. Your life is too valuable to waste on small minds. Protect it, guard it, grow it, and let your strength speak louder than any words ever could.